The future everyone is chasing. There comes a point when the future stops being abstract. It becomes a presence in the room. You feel it in conversations that used to be casual. You hear it in the way people ask questions now. Not whether she had fun, not whether the team is improving, but what happens next. What level? What division? What timeline? The air around those words is different, heavier, charged. Because once the future becomes real, the stakes rise with it. For years, you've been operating inside effort. Drive here, train there, show up, repeat. Effort feels clean. It feels fair. You put in the work and trust something good will follow. But the future introduces probability, and probability is uncomfortable because it reminds you that effort and outcome are not twins. They're relatives, connected but not identical. You begin to see the landscape more clearly now. How many athletes are chasing? How few doors exist? How early decisions get made? How fast the narrative moves? You used to think the journey widened as it progressed. Now you understand something else. It narrows, quietly, without announcement. And the narrowing changes how people behave. You notice families accelerating, more travel, more exposure, more urgency behind every weekend. You feel it in yourself too, a low hum, a voice asking if you are doing enough, if you are missing something, if someone else is moving faster. This is where comparison sharpens, not because you want it to, because uncertainty invites it. You watch who is getting attention, who is being contacted, who is building momentum. You pretend it doesn't affect you, but it does. Because love makes you vigilant. You want your kids seen. You want their work acknowledged. You want the path to open. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the tension. The system rewards visibility, not always readiness. It amplifies motion. It celebrates announcements. It rarely pauses to highlight development that happens slowly and privately. So families feel pulled forward, faster, earlier, louder, even when they aren't sure it's right. You can feel the conflict inside yourself. Part of you wants to protect your child from pressure. Another part worries that easing pressure might cost opportunity. That push and pull becomes exhausting because it has no clear answer. You start noticing your own habits, how often you check updates, how often you replay conversations, how often your mind drifts ahead instead of staying present. The future has gravity, and gravity changes posture. You lean, you brace, you prepare for something that hasn't happened yet. Your child senses it. Of course they do. Kids are experts at reading the room. They feel expectation in tone, in timing, in silence. They begin asking questions more carefully now, not just about mechanics, but about trajectory. Am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I behind? What do I need to change? Those questions aren't tactical, they're existential. And that's when you realize how fragile confidence can become when timelines enter the picture. Because timelines create winners and losers long before anything is decided. They make patience feel like failure. They make growth feel late. They turn development into a race. And races are unforgiving. There's another layer that shows up during this phase. Fatigue. Not physical, emotional. You've been strong for a long time. You've organized, encouraged, financed, balanced, but now you're also holding uncertainty. And uncertainty is heavy because you can't fix it. You can't schedule it. You can't guarantee it. You simply carry it quietly. Most dads won't say that part out loud. They'll talk about logistics, about budgets, about travel. But underneath it all is the same private question. Will it work? And nobody can answer it. Not coaches, not recruiters, not other parents. So you learn to live with maybe, and maybe requires maturity. It requires understanding that dreams are not contracts. They are directions. They guide effort. They don't promise arrival. Accepting that doesn't make you less supportive. It makes you steadier. Because now you are not chasing certainty. You are supporting growth. You start seeing your child differently again. Not just as an athlete trying to secure a future, but as a person learning how to move through ambiguity, how to keep showing up when outcomes are unclear, how to maintain identity without guarantees. Those are life skills, bigger than volleyball, bigger than recruiting, and yet they are being built right here, in the middle of all this tension. You begin to value resilience differently, not as toughness, but as adaptability, the ability to stay open, to stay engaged, to keep perspective when things speed up. And perspective becomes your new job, because the system rarely provides it. The system thrives on urgency. It thrives on fear of missing out. It thrives on the idea that the next event could change everything. Sometimes it does. Often it doesn't. But the possibility keeps everyone moving. So you become the counterbalance. You remind your child to breathe, to focus on what can be controlled, to remember why they started. You offer stability in a world built on acceleration. That's leadership. And it's invisible most of the time, but it matters. Because when pressure rises, someone has to remain calm. Someone has to hold the emotional center. That someone is usually dad. You may not have asked for that role, but you're in it now. And if you do it well, something powerful happens. Your child learns that ambition and peace can coexist, that effort does not require panic, that uncertainty does not erase worth. Those lessons outlive recruiting. They outlive sport. They become part of how a person walks through life. You still want success. Of course you do. You still hope for opportunities. You still imagine doors opening. But you no longer attach love to those doors. You separate support from outcome. And that separation changes everything. Because now your presence is stable, reliable, unconditional. Your kid can chase hard knowing they are safe no matter what. That is freedom. And free athletes grow. They compete lighter. They recover faster. They understand that their value is larger than performance. It is difficult to measure how important that is, but years later, they will tell you. They will remember how you stayed steady, how you believed without suffocating, how you encouraged without demanding. That memory becomes part of their foundation. The future is still coming. Nothing about that changes. There will be calls, or there won't. There will be moments of clarity, or stretches of confusion. But whatever arrives, you will face it together, because the relationship survived the chase. And that might be the greatest victory of all. This is Volleyball Dad Diaries, and the story is still being written.
It's the rap